Hello guys. Cyberpunk 2077 has been in development for almost 8 years now and it just got released. And I have never seen any game so hyped and so anticipated in my entire life due to its unfinished work in terms of game's performance and the lack of proper ideal information to the consumers and investors. Cyberpunk will still remain a memory of the most hyped disaster ever created in the gaming industry.
Keep your eyes peeled. We definitely have an imposter here.
I've seen a lot of games coming up with so many creative ideas in recent years. Devolver Digital has got a lot of creative games. Sucker Punch recently released their Ghost of Tsushima last year, and there's Horizon Zero Dawn. That's trending. Hades, Disco Elysium, Shady Part of Me, and a lot others.
Here, this make you all nostalgic?
But Cyberpunk 2077 is no less in terms of art and creativity, and the gameplay is absolutely phenomenal. And I was curious in knowing more about the game and the developers and the fact that I didn't much like The Witcher 3 when the first time I played it, and I thought you all must have been curious too. So that's what we are going to talk about today. Hello newbies, welcome to Noob. Before we proceed any further, make sure to like and comment on how much are you liking the game so far, and be sure to subscribe cause I'm coming back with a lot of crazy interesting gaming stuff. Now then, let's begin the video. I've divided the topic into 3 different points. First, we are going to talk about the story of Cyberpunk. For those who don't know about Cyberpunk and what is the game about, this is for you. And in the second point, we'll talk about the role of CD Projekt Red and The Witcher 3 behind the inflated hype of Cyberpunk 2077. And in the third, we'll discuss about the marketing and how it helped the inflated hype of Cyberpunk 2077 even more. So when I first watched the cinematic trailer in E3 2019, I loved it so much that I instantly researched about the game, its trailers, its gameplays, and they were all crazy. There's no way people were driving crazy for this game. But what is it actually? Cyberpunk 2077 is a narrative-driven open-world RPG set in the dark version of the future based on the Mike Pondsmith's dystopian tabletop role-playing board game from 1984, which is set in the future fictional Night City situated on the west coast of the United States. And as the name says, the year is 2077. America is facing an economic crisis communicating a nuclear conflict which has left America in pieces. With most of the continent degenerating into lawless war zones, people from all over has converged on the already overcrowded Night City. A megalopolis obsessed with power, glamour and body modifications where gangs, corporate agents, hustlers, religious cultists, politicians and all manner of criminals drive to outplay one another. And you, as we, an outsider from the same street, struggles for power to become a legend. And that's the whole story of Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk 2077 also offers a vast majority of customization options, player choices, different playthroughs, and lots of fun all ready for you to dive in.
You ever feel like the city doesn't give you a choice? You either burn alive in it, or you never existed at all.
Cyberpunk 2077 is also fun to roam around, filled with beautiful landscapes, jaw-dropping wheels, and huge skyscrapers and buildings, and advertisements that immerse you into the gorgeous world of Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 is filled with art and creativity. Even if your current status can't let you enjoy the game,
What?
The city is still beautiful enough to enjoy. It's in a state where games like Cyberpunk 2077 or any of the Rockstar Games titles or The Witcher hold their own place somewhere in the community. They all lack somewhere, but they all are masterpieces. For that, Cyberpunk 2077 truly deserves some appreciation. And with all of these, I think it's fair to call it an exciting game, truly deserving of hype. But that wasn't the only reason for hype. The developer CD Projekt Red played an important role in the hype.
Come touch me like I'm an ordinary man. Have a look in my eyes. Underneath my skin there is a violence. It's got a gun in its hands. Ready to make sense of anyone, anything, anyone, anything, anyone, anything. Personal responsibility, personal responsibility, personal responsibility.
Cyberpunk 2077 was officially teased in 2013, but that didn't leave much of a spark in the community. But soon after, the developers released their last game in the series of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And oh boy, what a blast it was. Magical world, superhuman abilities, a true open world with vast number of opportunities, side quests that feel like a whole game itself.
Then fuck off!
And a ride that carries you around the narrative-driven world with ease. Witcher 3 was a true masterpiece, even though with different worlds and narrative settings. The branching story and player choices, side quests, and gameplay and exploration at a major scale took the game, and CD Projekt Red reached the heights they could never without The Witcher 3 in their catalog, and the game is still good to be played even today. Even if it was released in 2015 with 2 DLCs the next year, it still looked good enough to be played today or even in 2021. Just yesterday I happened to read a review written by a woman who's not an experienced gamer but happened to play Witcher 3 with her husband in their Nintendo Switch because of the popular Netflix series The Witcher that hit the charts recently. They absolutely loved it, which even followed to buying and playing Cyberpunk 2077. I don't need to tell you what was in their review, but that quality builds trust in the end consumers and investors for the developers, and it also adds up to the expectations for the next upcoming game. Similarly, the already existing image and reputation of CD Projekt Red has always been consumer and gamer friendly, who believes that if a gamer is buying a game from CD Projekt Red, they hold the right on their copy of game from then on and should not be troubled with a DRM or internet requirement.
When the internet started growing big time, you could see how much it doesn't work how much the whole DRM concept is flawed on a global scale, because every single game that's being released was cracked day one, and then the copy protections, like for example Star Force, was so intrusive that it was slowing down your machine, so you had the worst performance on the legal version that you had on pirate in comparison to the pirated one. And so I learned one thing. Copy protections do not work.
And I personally agree on that, as DRM does nothing but only slows the crack progress of the game as well as the intended performance of the game. And the fact that games did eventually get cracked no matter how well the DRM is. If you have a quality product to sell, why fear the crackers? And with that in mind, they also have their own subsidiary game store called GOG, or Good Old Games, that aims to sell DRM free games to the end consumers. And I think that's enough for people to just love the studio and trust their works with all their hearts, and that same happened with Cyberpunk 2077 too. It's quite common, as if you love a certain company, its products, or a certain person's art, you would expect their next product or work to be at the same quality as with the previous one.
Please welcome Keanu Reeves.
I gotta talk to you about something. We gotta talk to you about something. CD Projekt Red. Cyberpunk 2077.
But there is one role that CD Projekt Red played really well on how well the game was marketed. And there are 3 points that I want to include in this. First, the involvement of Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand, who plays a side character role in the entire Cyberpunk narrative.
Cyberpunk 2077, Johnny Silverhand. I've had the opportunity to do voiceover a few times. I'd worked on a cartoon, I had done some documentaries. I'd never done this much. You know you don't gotta speak out loud to talk to me. And I've processed some shit.
And I don't think there's any need to explain that this was a good move by CD Projekt Red. Recently I watched the Game Awards 2020 and not gonna lie, I personally loved all the world premieres that were premiered in the show, though some were decent, just like the Arc 2 trailer which featured Vin Diesel, right? And I'm not saying that they're doing it for gaining more love, cause they have your favorite character on the game. No, Keanu is talented enough and his role is the best in the game, but just the involvement also helps to create certain hype among the others who aren't experienced gamers or didn't know about CD Projekt Red.
The whole intention with Keanu in the game was to have a very meaningful character that fits into the lore, and so I think for us it's Keanu.
Second point is a bit small, but it still adds up to the marketing stuff. Now, I read a few articles and watched videos by tech YouTubers unboxing and reviewing the OnePlus 8T Cyberpunk Edition. And that's normal cause every company does that, and the theme of Cyberpunk is majorly yellow. And I love yellow, so hell yeah! That same happened last year with Nvidia's graphics card too. RTX 20 series launched last year and the 2080 Ti was the highest end, which arrived with a Cyberpunk limited edition. That looks super good though. And this year RTX 30 series was launched, and the same happened with the 3082. And also there was a small giveaway with 7 or 8 products, all Cyberpunk limited editions, gaming chairs, 3080, Razer keyboards, mouses and other merchandises on Cyberpunk's official website. That's a lot of promotion though. CD Projekt Red also released a lot of trailers and gameplays and talked a lot about the world, which at the end simply increased people's excitement. After the first tease in 2013, they went on silence and finally released the first trailer in E3 2018, and since then there was a lot of stuff. They attended the 2019 E3 and 2 Gamescom events. Bit by bit, they showed everything and kept trying to push that excitement even more. From talking about the streets to rides, life paths to gangs, guns to different playthroughs, every small detail was showcased before the release of the game. And a full 30-minute show that also showed new trailers, stuff about the game from developers, collaborations, and behind the scenes. And that perfectly explains how every bit of hype was generated from the smallest actions to the big ones. For example, there was also one controversy around Cyberpunk 2077 that showed a poster found in a game which, according to the people, was said to be mocking trans people. Some got offended, some defended it, but it simply got added to the last percentage of the Cyberpunk 2077 hype. Not just from the gaming communities, but people were hyped in every field until the release.
At least I believed in something bigger. At least I had a cause.
What CD Projekt Red has shared with me in the way that they talk about the game and what I've seen is that it's got a lot of freedom. There's so many different paths that you can play the game. But it's not just quests of paths. It's like, who are you? How do you want to play the character? You can go into action, you can go into mystery, you can problem solve in different ways. And where you go in this world, there's so much detail, there's so many different things that you can go off into that are really interesting. fun. There's a real drama to the game and emotional stakes to it. And then there's lighter sides to it. And of course, the music, production design, technologically, how cutting edge it is. I don't think there'll be a game that looks like this. Yeah, it's intense.
And that was the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Although I know the current condition of the game, and I'm also currently playing it, and will surely talk about what actually went wrong with Cyberpunk 2077's release. But till it comes, fill out the comment section with your thoughts on the current condition of the game, and also tell me about how are you liking the game. Subscribe to know for more amazing content coming, and thanks for watching. Like it if you liked it, and dislike it if you didn't get my point. Till then, see ya. Hello guys, thanks for watching. Now I know I'm a month late from the video, from the release, and मेरे को ये वीडियो पहले डालनी थी लेकिन मैं लेट हो गया क्योंकि बहुत टाइम से मैं एडिटिंग कर नहीं रहा था, तो अभी थोड़ा करने में बहुत टाइम लग गया. बट अब वीडियोस बहुत दबा के आने वाली हैं, और आई हैव अ स्मॉल रिक्वेस्ट फ्रॉम यू. अगर तुम्हें वीडियो बहुत पसंद आई है तो ज़रूर नीचे सजेशंस दो इस वीडियो के लिए, कोई अगली वीडियोस के लिए. वैसे तो साइबरपंक के ऊपर आएगी, और भी कोई वीडियो ऐसे और वीडियोस के लिए सजेशंस नीचे कमेंट कर दो. नीचे अगर तुम्हें देने हैं कोई और इम्प्रूवमेंट्स या कोई भी तुम्हें कोई चीज़ तुम्हें सजेस्ट करनी हो, नीचे कमेंट सेक्शन में बता दो. या तुम्हें और कोई तुम्हारे पास वह है, क्या कहते हैं, और कोई तुम्हारे पास रीजंस हैं जिसकी वजह से साइबरपंक 2077 की हाइप बढ़ी थी, तो नीचे कमेंट सेक्शन भर दो अपना पूरा, और लाइक कर दो और फॉरवर्ड कर दो. ये वायरल जानी चाहिए वीडियो, वायरल भेज दो इसको, ठीक है. वायरल कर दो इस वीडियो को, और मैं अगली वीडियो में मिलता हूँ, ठीक है. बाय. लाइक कर दो, ठीक है. चलते हैं. बाय. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग.